Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name is Delaya from DelayaB.com, and I'm an elevated streetwear designer who wants to help women personalize their style so they can feel better and bolder about themselves and their passions. My channel is about fashion design, style, and self, so if any of that resonates with your soul, go on and hit that subscribe button right now. So if you didn't know, or if you're new here, I do a lot of sewing on my channel. I am a fashion designer, so a lot of my videos have to do with me designing clothes and me sewing clothes. And what I've been noticing in the comments is people have been asking me about sewing. They want to know how to sew, how to learn how to sew. I wish I knew how to sew and things of that nature. So because I want to help you and help take care of you, I figured why not answer your questions and teach you what I know about sewing. Not how to sew, but how to start sewing. So I am doing a 5-part series, yes, 5 whole parts, about what you need to do to learn how to sew. This is based on my knowledge, based on my path starting more than a decade ago. So no, it's not law. No, you don't have to follow these instructions, but they will help you and guide you, at least to start. This is the first video of the series, and today we're going to talk about how you can start sewing, the basic steps to get into sewing. The very first thing you need to do in order to get into sewing is to commit to it. Commit to learning to sew. A lot of the comments I see in my comment section are,
I wish I knew how to sew. I want to learn how to sew. This is a great talent to have. I wish I had it.
Which the comments are fine and great. My initial thought when I read things like this are, but you can. You can learn how to sew. You can do it. It's not that hard. The only thing you really have to do is commit to learning. Committing the time to actually learn a new skill. You're not going to pick it up by just, tomorrow. It's not like that. You actually have to put in the work to learn how to do it. So in order to commit, you have to put away time for it. Commit in learning how to do it. You have to make the commitment that this is something you want to do and something you will put the effort forth in learning how to do. I know that learning new things are hard, and it's kind of hard to stay motivated, especially if you get discouraged along the way. So another thing that you want to do is to have a purpose, have something driving you to learn how to sew. Some people have started based on projects they want to do. So some girls may start because they want to make their own prom dresses. Prom is very important in US culture. You don't want to go to prom looking a mess. So you take the time to learn how to make a prom dress. Maybe you want to make something for a family member. Maybe you want to make something for yourself. You're not seeing your style, or you're not getting clothes that fit you correctly from the store, so you want to start making your own wardrobe. You want a goal at the end. You want to work towards something. You want to have a destination that you'll reach when you know that you've learned this task. You want to be graceful with yourself. You're not going to be sewing amazingly coming out the gate. It's just not going to happen like that. Keep an open mind. Don't get discouraged if things don't go your way. You're learning, so these aren't failures, these are lessons. Learn your lessons and just keep going forward. I have been sewing since high school, 2006, around that time. I'm not doing that pure math. I still to this day make mistakes. Even the best sewers, the best seamstresses, whatever, everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just you make the mistake and you move on. Let me tell you, sewing is not for the faint of heart. You can be working in the wee hours of the morning and something can and most likely will go wrong. Murphy's Law is all up and through sewing. So please stay generous with yourself, stay graceful with yourself. You are learning, be gentle. You're not going to get this right off the bat. If you do, great for you, good, cool. But don't go in here expecting you're about to own sewing. So the next thing you can do to prepare yourself to learn how to sew is to take a class. Some stores, some hobby stores offer classes inside the store, something at Joann's or Mood Fabric when the stores are open, so this may be post-COVID. They're classes on how to make bags, how to make a skirt. I say this because it is right before investing in machinery and things. Sewing machines aren't necessarily cheap. I mean, depending on the level you want to go. Taking a class, it's $20, $30. It's you seeing if sewing is actually something you want to do. Maybe it was a novel idea, but when you try, you're nah, this ain't for me. And you wouldn't have invested so much money in it. The next step after that, if you take the class and you like sewing, you think this is something that you want to move forward with, it's time to do a little investing in yourself and your hobby. You'll want to buy a machine. I am not going to say what type of machine to buy. I have been using my same Pink Brothers sewing machine again since high school, and it's been working great for me. So if I had to recommend anything, I'd say a Brother sewing machine, just because it's durable and can last long. I have not taken good care of that machine whatsoever. I have not kept up maintenance or whatever, and it's still ticking. I'm sorry. That's as far as recommendations go. You'll want to do your own research on what kind of machine you want, but basically you want to make sure that it has your basic stitches. It's a straight stitch, zigzag stitch are basically the real only ones you'll need. Maybe buttonholes if you want to learn how to make buttonholes. Learn how to make buttonholes. So investing in a machine is your next step, and basically you solidifying that you're down for the cause. So after you commit to sewing and you buy your machine and you're at home, the next thing you want to do is practice. You want to learn your machine. You want to know what it does. You'll want to play around with the knobs and the switches and get familiar with it, get comfortable with it. Get some woven fabric from Joann's. It's quilting fabric, very inexpensive, good thing to test on. Take this home and you'll learn how to do straight stitches. You're not gonna start sewing straight right out the gate. Like, you gotta get comfortable with it. Like I said, I got my machine back in high school, and the first thing I did do on my machine is play around with stitches. You know, I thought everything looked cool. This one is going this way, this one is doing this, and I just wanted to see what it does. So it's a fun time to learn. When I started college, the first thing they had us do on the industrial machines are stitch practices, stitch exercises. We literally took a piece of paper. The piece of paper had lines on it, and you had to sew the piece of paper and follow the lines. So it looked like a maze kind of, but it was like straight line, turn, straight line, turn, straight line, turn. And we had to put that through the machine. So we were basically sewing on paper, but what it was to help us learn how to guide the fabric through the machine and also learn how to turn and pivot a stitch, which is also very important if you want creased corners. We had a sheet that had a curve on it to help you learn how to curve your fabric for a stitch. Even in college, like, you practice stitching. It's the basic of sewing. You want to learn about seam allowance and where you have to position your fabric to get the correct seam allowance. You'll want to learn about stitches, how to have a good stitch. When you change fabrics, you have to change the tension of the machine. You'll also want to learn what tension is and how to get the correct one, what a good stitch looks like, one that's not too tight, one that's not too loose. Because if it's too loose or even too light, like, it'll fall apart. It won't have the strength to hold the seam. So all of these things you want to practice in. You want to know what your machine does. Once you feel comfortable on your machine and you feel like you're ready for the next step, the next thing you'll want to do is get a project. Yay! When you get a project, keep it easy. You're starting out new. Don't go above and beyond. It's something that's super duper basic where you can familiarize yourself more with the basics. You want to crawl here, don't run. The first pattern I've ever worked on was actually a Halloween costume. Not that difficult. It was a 1950s poodle skirt. Red felt poodle skirt. My mom helped me with it, but it was super duper easy. I'm talking 2 seams on the side and a waistband. I did a buttonhole and that was it. Very simple, very simple. Not only do you learn more things about your machine, learn more things about sewing, but you'll feel accomplished when it's done. So keep the project very simple. Patterns have levels to them, and each pattern will say if it's something that's easy or intermediate, so you'll know that you're not biting off more than you can chew. When you choose a pattern, you'll also learn how to read a pattern. Patterns, to someone who are not familiar with them, can be difficult. So just familiarizing yourself, again, on a basic level is a good start. Now that you're sewing and you've made your first project, the next thing you want to do is to keep learning. Keep an open mind and keep learning. There is not one person who knows everything about sewing. There are different levels, there are different techniques, and there is so much to learn. So don't pigeonhole yourself into something. There are books you can invest in. There is YouTube. YouTube University is a great place to learn. If you don't know how to do something, please type it into YouTube first. There's a video on almost everything. There's a video on how to position your fabric, how to read patterns, how to do this type of stitch or that type of stitch or that type of stitch. Like, I've been sewing for so long and I still to this day look up videos on YouTube. Like, it's just so much easier. If you can go in with an idea of something or an idea of how something happens, it gives you a little bit more confidence than just going in there all willy-nilly. So take the time to learn and to perfect your craft. never gonna be perfect. It's not expected for you to have all the answers. You're just starting out. There is so much room to grow, so grow. Coming full circle, the first tip was to commit. Commit to learning how to sew. Now that you've done your first project, you just gotta commit to getting better. Commit to learning new things. All right, so that's it. That was the 6 steps you can take to get into sewing and learn how to sew. Like I said, this is a whole 5-part series. This is the first video in giving you steps to learning what to do to get into sewing. The next video, we are going to talk about the essential things that you'll need to start sewing, like the bare minimum tools, straight, concise, and to the point. If these sound like something you want to learn more about and you want to follow along with the whole 5-part series, go on and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it when I post the next videos. At the end of the series, the final video, I want to do a Q&A for my followers if you have any more questions about getting into sewing. So if you have any questions about what I talked about in this video, or if sewing or design is something you're interested in, you can ask your questions down in the comment box, and on the 5th video, I will answer those questions for you. You can ask it about sewing, or you can even ask it about fashion design. Either one works, so just leave your question down in the comments. All right, so that wraps it up for today's video. Until next time, guys, stay safe and keep designing your best.